Hello guys, welcome back to narsicloud.com. In today's video, we're going to talk about DynamoDB, a few scenarios, very few basic scenarios on how to create a table and how to create items in the table, and how do we scan or query the contents of the table. So that's the goal for today. So DynamoDB is one of the NoSQL types of databases in AWS. So what is NoSQL database? So far in our previous videos, we were talking about RDS and the different types of databases, right? Likewise, NoSQL is one of the databases. So if you compare it to RDS is purely relational in nature, right? So that's what it stands for, relational database services. So what does that mean? Every table data is connected to the other table by means of foreign key, and they have data relationship and integrity, right? But coming to NoSQL, it is a schema-less in nature, which means like in RDS, we have schemas, right? So you need to, before you create a table, you need to define what columns you're going to store. You need to define the types of each field, and it's restricted, right? Once you define schema, then you cannot add any more columns. I mean, you can add it to the table, but it's not like dynamic, right? It's not flexible, but it has its own use cases. But coming to DynamoDB, it is schema-less. It's very flexible in handling schema level things. For example, you can create every row with a different type of data. It's not like, I mean, you need to look at in a different way. It's not like rows and columns. It's completely different the way you store the data. So NoSQL, under NoSQL, you usually call it as a non-relational databases. There are different types of NoSQL databases. For example, not coming to the databases, but the different types as well. So the way you store it could be key value pairs, it could be JSON type, it could be GraphQL, it could be search like Elasticsearch service. There are different types of NoSQL databases. And coming to the various databases that implemented NoSQL concept, they are like DynamoDB is one of the database, and MongoDB, GraphQL, Elasticsearch service. They're all different types of NoSQL databases. Most popular ones are Elasticsearch and DynamoDB, MongoDB. I mean, other types of databases are being used, but these are the most databases that you would hear about when it comes to NoSQL type of databases. Okay, so if you want to know more about NoSQL, exactly, or deep dive into NoSQL, I can prepare a video. I can make a video later, but today's topic is just to give you overview of DynamoDB and table creation and creating some data in it. Okay, and also I will prepare another video on the DynamoDB itself to deep dive into DynamoDB. It has its own course. Okay, so let's dive into DynamoDB service. So what do? We usually go, and if you have visited the DynamoDB service, it would be here. Otherwise, you can search for the service. Look at the dashboard. Usually you have create tables, add and query items, and monitor and manage tables. So this DynamoDB service is completely managed by AWS, and you wouldn't have to worry about which host it's running on and the scalability. It's a very low latency, millisecond latency. For example, if you see here, single digit millisecond latency at any scale. So it's a high performant database. So these type of NoSQL database are used in developing modern applications in today's world. Wherever you want to deal with large amounts of data, and to have this data in to have flexibility in handling schemas and all that. Okay, so let's quickly jump onto the creating the table and items in the table. Okay, so click on the create table. So let's say you are storing the data of for example songs, right? Songs table. So songs table is going to hold the list of songs, and each song could have many attributes, right? What are the attributes that a song could have? Song could have a name of the song, and which movie it belongs to, and uh, also the artist who performed that song, and the music director, right? So purely, how do you the primary key is, you see here, primary key, which is a partition key, and it will be a combination of partition key and sort key. Usually in the DynamoDB, you decide the partition key based on the access pattern. So how are you going to access the data? That defines the partition key, because the data gets stored in the form of key values. So the key value store, how does it work? So when you store some data in the fashion of in the key value fashion, then when you search it, it's going to be stored in a kind of bucket. And then when you search by key, it is millisecond latency. So it's of one always. So it knows exactly, if you, when you say, for example, you are putting partition key name, right? Which means if you search by name of the song, it will directly go to that bucket and fetch. So that's how it works in DynamoDB. But I'll go deep dive into internals into DynamoDB. It has a lot of theory in it. Okay. So for now, assume that I'm creating partition key as a name of the song, and then sort key, it could be artist or it could be movie. Okay. Movie it belongs to. So for example, the same song could be in multiple movies, right? In different versions. So you can also sort by movie. Okay. So let's go with the default settings for now. Let's minimize that, and click create table. So table is being created, and it's so fast, it's not like RDS, like it took a few minutes, because it has a lot of things to do behind the scenes for RDS table creation. Okay, but I mean, that's a different context, like it has its own use cases and scenarios. Okay, so table got created. So you see the table here, and then you go put some items in there. You have a create item, and then actions. Okay, so let's go ahead and create. What's the name of this song? Love Every Day. Okay, and the movie, let's say Life is Beautiful. And then you can create another item. Let's say Moon is White song, and performed in Sky Line movie. Okay, so if you create another item, let's say Love Every Day, and this is in Life 2. So we have the same song in two different movies. So how do you, so you just created all the data in the table, right? So how do you search? So one way is to by doing scan on all over the table, and the other way is to query by primary key and sort key. Usually in the real time in our applications, we don't want to do scan keys by using scan, because it gets performance issues. It runs into, like, as the data keep on increasing every day. If you want to do scan, then it has to scan all the key value pairs in all the buckets. So it gets worse as you inserting new data. So what we do is, that's why we create this based on search patterns. We create primary key and sort key. Okay, so if you were to search by query, you can search by partition key. So for example, you want to search by the name of the song, then you got 2 songs, right? And if I want to sort key by life 2, you got that particular movie song. Okay, so for example, if I do this, there no data is found because this sort key does not exist, right? So if you were to do that, what is the value that we give? Life is beautiful, right? So it needs to match exactly the value. So right, so this is how it works. So it's the same steps. Like even if you were to do this from your code, what you would do, you would use AWS SDK, and you can connect to the table. It's not like you're creating a connection. It's not like that with the DynamoDB. Like we in RDS, how would you connect to the table? You would create a connection object, and then you pass this username and password, all of that. But here it is a little different. DynamoDB, it's all managed behind the scenes. You don't even know which host it's running on. So what you would do is you would directly take a AWS SDK and then use that code, and you provide your table name or whatever, right? So those are the few things, and you would define your query filters by means of by using this partition key and sort key. So this is roughly how you create a table, and how do you insert the data, and how do you query the data, right? It's a high performance database, and highly scalable with single digit milliseconds latency, and purely used in areas like IoT applications, and even when you want to run these mobile devices like in IoT, right? And many other applications are using DynamoDB, like when you're dealing with the field data, or when you're dealing with any geospatial domain, where the data is dynamic and it doesn't have it where it needs a flexibility in the schema, you would use DynamoDB. And there are other NoSQL that would address the same use cases like MongoDB. For all of these, I would make separate videos to go deep dive into technical aspects of these databases. Okay, but for today, this is the concept I would like to share, guys. If you like this video, please click on like button, and please do subscribe, and you will get to see a lot more videos like this. And this video is part of AWS crash course. It is almost going to wrap up. So if you want to see my previous videos in this course, please do visit narsicloud channel, and there you would see the playlist created for AWS crash course. Okay, and see you guys, and take care, and I will meet you in our next video. Thank you. Bye.